Good day, everybody. How are you all? Today we are going to talk about calculation of probability. So I'll share my computer screen with you. Says person A can solve 90% of the problems and person B can solve 70% of the problems in statistics book. What is the probability that at least one of them will solve a problem selected randomly from that statistics book? And there are four alternatives. So let's work on this problem. So probability at least one can solve a problem selected randomly from that book, from the statistics book, from statistics book. That is the event book. That is the event we are looking at. At least one means minimum one and above. This event is complement or opposite of the event that none of them will be able to solve the problem selected randomly. Okay. Remember, at least one means one and above. It can be one of them or it can be both of them. Okay. So use the probability rule of complement events. So probability of event E is equal to 1 minus probability of E complement of E. So that means probability of event E is 1 minus probability of, oops, let me correct that, probability of probability of the complement event. Okay. So in our case, it will be probability at least one can solve the problem is equal to 1 minus probability none of A or B can solve the problem, which is equal to 1 minus probability A cannot solve the problem, cannot solve and B cannot solve also. But A cannot solve the event. A cannot solve is independent independent of the event. B cannot solve. And another rule of probability that we will use is for independent events, for independent events. Okay, for independent events, C, that is, if C is an event, is an event independent of an event C, independent of another event D, then probability of C and D, because they're independent events, is probability of C multiplied by probability of D. So in our case, it becomes probability. So it becomes probability at least A or B can solve the problem is equal to 1 minus probability of A cannot just solve the problem, multiplied by probability B cannot solve the problem. Now it is given to us probability of A can solve the problem, is 0.9, right? Now let's go back and check on that. Yeah, 0.9. So it is 0.9, which leads us to think that probability of A cannot solve is equal to 1 minus 0.9 is 0.1. And probability of B can solve is given to us as 0.7, which leads us to state that probability B cannot solve is 1 minus 0.7, which is 0.3. Hence, if I move this a little bit up, hence probability at least A or B, one of them can solve the problem. Is 1 minus 0.1 times 0.3 or 1 minus 0.03, which is equal to 0.97. So answer, I believe, is correct answer, alternative, correct alternative is D. Alternative is D. So here, just to give you a tip, what we used is first we use the law of complements. Probability of complement event or probability of an event is 1 minus probability of complement event. So probability of at least 1 means 1 and above is 1 minus probability. None of them can solve the problem. Then we use the probability law of independent events, which means that if C and D are independent events, then probability of C and D is equal to probability of C times probability of D. Hence, the probability of at least A or B can solve the problem is 1 minus probability A cannot solve the problem, multiplied by probability B cannot solve the problem. And it was given to us A can solve, probability A can solve is 0.9, so probability A cannot solve is 1 minus 0.9 is 0.1. Probability of B can solve is 0.7, so probability of B cannot solve is 1 minus 0.7 is 0.3. So hence, probability at least A or B, one of them can solve the problem is 1 minus probability each of them cannot solve the problem multiplied by each other. So 0.1 times 0.3, which is 1 minus 0.03. So the final answer, correct alternative is D. Let me write this in a better way. So I will read, yes, this. Okay, so go back to this. So the correct alternative is D answer. So D is the answer. D as in David is the answer, correct answer. Okay. I'll stop here today. If you have any question, comment, write me a note. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you like this video, share this with your friend. I'll appreciate that. You and your friends, please subscribe to my channel by hitting the red subscribe button at the bottom right corner. I will see you next time with another interesting problem, interesting solution. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time.